What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Appreciate Greatness. It has been, golly, my chair is so loud. It's been a minute, man, but I'm back. It's my favorite time of year. It's mock draft day time. It's that time of year, man. Lottery was yesterday as I'm recording this, probably as I post this. Big ups for the Wizards, man. The Wizards are my favorite team in the East. I think I've been pretty vocal about that. I love what they're building, love what they're doing. Building it kind of feels like that OKC 2.0 out there, which makes sense because of obviously their GM being the assistant of Sam Presti for all those years. But yeah, we're gonna hop in this mock draft, my favorite time of the year. I'm gonna be very active now that it's summer, I'm home, stuff like that. If you've been looking for content out of me, I don't really know why you would. I still be tweeting all the damn time, so y'all can check that out. But without further ado, we're gonna get into this. But I want to make this clear: this is if I was the GM of every single team here, right? It's not what I'm predicting. This is purely if I was making the decisions for these teams, not trying to predict anything. And at one, if I was the Wizards, I would go Darren Peterson. I love what they're building again. They bring in Trae Young, AD, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr. I love Cam Boozer. He would probably be that secondary guy. You don't really mind having AD. Obviously, he's a great player, but can he stay healthy? How long are you going to have him? You might have to flip him immediately the way he's been talking in the media. And Cam Boozer really does fit right next to Alex Sarr as a physical, dominant force who can really pass to the lob threat of Sarr, and they could run pick and rolls, and it would be very, very fun. I also am really close to having Cam Boozer as my number one on my board. But I just think that Darren Peterson, the defense he brings, you can throw him alongside Trey Johnson. At point guard, you just have an extremely tall team at 6'6". I think Trey was 6'5". Keyshawn at 6'9", 6'10", 6'8", whatever he is. That afro makes it look a little bigger. I'm going Darren Peterson, though, for the Wizards. At 2, again, I think Cam Boozer is the better player, but it feels too right. BYU, staying in Utah, I'm going AJ DeBonsa. He's one of the best scorers I've ever seen in my life. And then 3, falling into Cam Boozer is the Grizzlies, and that's a beautiful pick for them to restart something. You still have Ja on the roster, obviously, but it's a great way to just restart things for the Grizzlies. At 4, the Chicago Bulls. I forget the name of him, the GM now. Isn't it Bryson something? Hold on, this is gonna bother me. Bryson Graham. I was very close to getting it. His mantra is slap. It's size, length, athleticism, physicality. I think Caleb Wilson fits all of those except physicality, but I really think he's still growing into that body. I'm not high on him like, Jay Williams and Jay Billis, like, oh, Giannis, whatever. I think the offense has a long way to go. The handle is still not the greatest. The shooting, I have very, very major concerns for. But defensively, the sky is the limit for Caleb Wilson. For the Clippers, I'm actually going to go my best player available, and I think a guy that really fits them, even with Yannick Konan-Niederhauser, who flashed really well this year. He's a guy I was a lot higher on than consensus last year through the draft process. I want Ade Mara here. I think he does all those things that you're losing out on with Zoo and a little more. I think he's a little better of a rim protector. I think that the drop coverage is a more refined at the age Mara is compared to when Zoo was this age, and I think he's a much better passer and can run the DHO, can really good touch, just like Zoo. So I really like Mara. And now at 6 for the Nets, obviously you took 5 picks last year. You have Sarif, you have Traore, you have Joman, and I still think that even with those 3 guards, you want someone who can kind of initiate as their own, if that makes sense. Like Traore, great at pick and roll stuff, really good pick and roll point guard. But that leads me to Kingston Flemings and Mikael Brown. Just a strong initiator who can get it on their own without a screen. Gilman obviously not that. He's more of just that. He was just a spot up shooter this year. He is a really good passer, which makes me think he's going to be a very great role player and someone I kind of misjudged. I really like Kingston or Mikael here. I think I'm going to go Kingston. Really quick first step. Has a defensive upside. I really like this. 7. Now, if I was doing a predictive mock draft, it's Darius Acuff all the way. But I think you go with that best point guard available. I think Mikael Brown is going to be an offensive engine. He has some defensive upside, but it's all right. I mean, I'm not super high on it, but I love Mikael Brown Jr. just as a primary initiator, point guard. Can pass off the dribble really well. At 8 for Atlanta, I think this is between Wagler and Philon. I really like Philon getting back to his roots of last year when he was just this super physical, fun, even though he is 175, I think, 180 maybe. He was very physical at the point of attack as a defender. Steal rate was insane. This year obviously had to take over the offense without Mark Sears, and I feel like he did a great job there as well. He improved shooting wise, improved finishing, improved everywhere as an offensive player. Against Michigan, he was walking people down and getting to the post and shooting, looking like Shea, and I think this is a guy who, he's my 6th player. He's number 6 on my board. He's higher than Flemings and Mikael. I just think that Flemings and Mikael kind of fit a different role for those two teams than Philon will with Atlanta. At 9 for Dallas, I really like Keaton Wagler here. I don't view him as being ever a primary ball handler or anything like that. And I wonder if we can. I don't view him as being a just primary ball handler or creator or anything like that. But I think at his floor, he's going to be a really great off-ball shooter with the playmaking ability, the ability to kind of attack those long closeouts that are going to have to be thrown at him. The defensive side is it's okay. It is what it is. But I really like just his floor is what I really like. And then I do see a world where he can become like a 23 point per game scorer with some of the extra stuff he does. That freaking half spin lives in my brain. I don't know. I'll try to find a clip of it and pop it in here, but oh my gosh. I really love some of the things he does. For Milwaukee, I like Ryan Rollins a ton. I still think Darius Acuff fits really well. I think you can make Rollins can do really whatever you need him to do. I see him becoming a primary ball handler initiator. He's one of the best pull-up shooters in the NBA already, and he's great off the pick and roll. But he's also just a really, really great defender. And I think if you pair Darius Acuff with him, you have just this explosive, dynamic duo in the backcourt. And I think that's really fun. At 11 for Golden State, I think this is a Yaxel spot. And I know that it's a little weird because you have Draymond and Steve Kerr obviously loves Draymond. And, you're not going to take Draymond off the floor. But I feel like Yaxel, if we're thinking of the future a little bit as well, I think Yaxel is just like this perfect guy that you're not building around him per se, but you're always thinking like, hey, we don't have to worry about this spot because we have a guy who sets really good screens, can handle it a little bit, can post up a little bit, but he also is, again, a great screener, great in the short roll, just great all-around passer, great defender. I don't think he moves his hips well enough. I don't think he has a low enough center of gravity to just be like the perfect Draymond and switching on to guards and stuff. But I think he's very physical inside, a good rebounder, and can switch on to guards when he needs to. He will get burnt every now and then, but I just think he fits so perfectly in that system where Steph Curry, to me, isn't retiring anytime soon. I don't see it. He averaged 26 on like great efficiency this year. Like, I just don't see it. 12 to OKC. This is an interesting one. Obviously, the iHeart situation's a little weird. I could see them losing out on him. I love Quaintance. I think that's a guy who is just super thundery. He had a very high block rate, is very switchable, a good rebounder, but a great rebounder. Maybe I think I started scouting in 2022. He's the best rebounder I've seen, in Hans Steinbach. Also he can do a little bit off the dribble stuff, like a really great screener again. I would love to see Steinbach kind of try to take over the Hartenstein. Obviously, he's not going to be as great in DHOs or hitting the cutters out of that pinch post area. And that's where I think Jaden Quaintance would, just because of he's just more skilled offensively. But Quaintance is a very unpolished offensive player, shooting-wise, finishing-wise. So I'm going to go Steinbach just because I really like the rebounding ability of him. At 13 for Miami, this is an interesting spot. I think this is a team who is really good at taking those, role players and just making them great, making them pop. I really like Dalen Swain here as a guy who gets downhill, makes things happen. You have Bam, obviously. I think this is a guy, I think they could take a guy here who nearly perfectly becomes a perfect role player early. And I think Swain could do that. I think Sturts could do that. I'm kind of out on a mint. I feel like Braden Burries really just fits what Miami does. The shooting is great. Some of the defensive stuff is really, really good. And he's a really great connected playmaker. He's not going to be a star. I don't know how he's ninth. I'd probably have him like 17th or so. But I do think he's a really great fit for this Heat team. And that's where we're going to go for Miami. At 14 now is Charlotte. And this is, again, Dalen Swain, Morez Johnson. They need some physicality, some athleticism inside. We saw that against the Magic when they just got pumped, right? And that's where I really lean Quaintance or Morez Johnson. Both guys who really, really physical, love rebounding, love defending, can defend multiple positions, can kind of switch out. I think Morez Johnson's the best defender all around in this draft. I think Jaden Quaintance, depending on what that knee is, I mean, the sky's the limit for him defensively. I'm going to go Jaden Quaintance, I think, here for the Hornets. Just give them some physicality, some size, and more athleticism as well. At 15 for the Bulls, again, we're looking at Slap, right? And I think the Bulls are in just such a great position here. You have Caleb Wilson already. You have pick 15. And then you're looking at pick 38 as well. And I think they have one more, 56. So, I mean, I love the position that the Bulls are in for this draft. Slap, again, size, length, athleticism, physicality. That's Dalen Swain, just in a nutshell. Swain, not a great shooter, but is a guy who could run the 2, can run the 3. Obviously, they're stacking those type guys, like the lengthy 4s and 3s, but I really like Swain's fit to the Bulls. At 16 for Memphis, they have plenty of Bennett Sturtsy type guys. I don't hate Nate Ament here. I'm very, very low on Ament, but I don't hate it. I don't hate like Cameron Carr. I think they could kind of use really anything, but I really love the idea of pairing Morez Johnson back up with a 7'4" center and just having this physical guy in the middle who can kind of do it all. I'm going to go Morez Johnson here. And then 17, this is my favorite fit of the draft, what I'm about to do. Bennett Sturts. And you might be like, what? They don't need another guard. They have A.J. Mitchell. They have Jared McCain. They have, Shea, obviously. Like, they have guards. But Sturts is a guy who doesn't turn the ball over on high usage. He's a great movement shooter. I think he's a very average defender and average with the type of usage he was forced to have in college. I think this is a guy who, and his steal rate was great until like the last 8 minutes of games and stuff. I just think this is a guy who can really be that perfect Thunder role player, doesn't turn it over, great off-ball shooter. He fits Shea, complements Shea really well. I feel like he's super polished. He's ready to play in the NBA, and defensively, he might not be perfect, but he's no worse than like Jared McCain, So that's my pick for the Thunder. Back again are the Hornets at 18. Again, this is a great place for Allen Graves to me. He's a guy who is a chaos creator. He's a good shooter. I don't know if he's ever going to be like a super great shooter or a guy who actually provides a ton of floor spacing, but he's just this guy who does it all. Can be a great passer, steal rate, block rate, great rebounder, great offensive rebounder. You play him with Musa, and I think you have a really, really fun front court. For Toronto, this is a no-doubter, no-brainer. I'm actually surprised he's fallen this far, and in mock drafts in the future, I doubt he will. Ibuka Okori, man, he is electric. Young freshman point guard, was not really looked at as a super highly touted recruit at all, but he is a guy who can ball. I think he has the quickest first step in the draft. Can really make plays offensively. Maybe not the greatest passer, but with the struggles that Immanuel Quickley has had to stay healthy, I really like this pick for the Raptors. Next pick, 20 for the Spurs. The guys I would have wanted them to get is Allen Graves, Morez Johnson, Jaden Quaintance. I think adding to the front court with just the kind of issues that Wemby has had to stay healthy at times and stay on the court at times has kind of been a bother for them. I could really see Ruben Shinyulu. He's a guy who I think could be like a Wemby stopper. I think he's going to be a highly touted for guy in this draft for Western Conference team. I could even see him going to the Thunder at 17, right? But I think that the Spurs, you can add shooting, you could add a lot of things here. You could add maybe length and long forward play, and Karim Lopez do kind of like the Thunder route and take a guy who, Karim to me is a do-it-all forward, high, a lot of steal, a lot of blocks, but also the shooting has come along pretty well. He's still just very developmental. He's a solid passer. Again, just purely do-it-all guy. Cameron Carr, good shooter, great weak side shot blocker, but you don't really need that with Wemby, obviously. Chris Sinak is another guy who I was thinking of for this Spurs team. It's a tough pick. I like Amari Allen as well here. I think in the end, we're going to go ahead and take Karim Lopez to the Spurs, just a developmental guy, and just see, what you can get out of him. To the Pistons, they're in need of another ball handler, and I'm going to go Tyler Tanner, and I'm going to explain you this pick. I love Tyler Tanner. He's another guy that I have way higher than 21st on my board. I think he's about 13th, and I think Acuff is even lower on my board than Tanner. It's just Tanner doesn't really fit some of these needs, obviously, and Acuff, I think the Bucks are going to be looking for like a guy who can be that kind of Darius Acuff type player who is just an explosive scorer, great passer. But Tyler Tanner, the reason I like him here to the Pistons, even though he has size concerns, he's a guy who you can pair next to Cade Cunningham, who's very great defensively, very, very tall, got the length, got the strength, the physicality. And you have a guy in Tyler Tanner who has played off of Duke Miles all year, who I'm also very high on. I wonder where he's at on this board. Let's search him up. 74th, that's crazy. He might be a guy who gets drafted in this range. But anyway, guy who can play off of, he plays off the ball really well, moves really well, can play out of the pick and roll, great assist to turnover ratio, shoots the three well, just kind of does all these things really well. Also just brings you another ball handler, a guy who can get steals and just finds ways to contribute defensively, even though his height is sitting here at 6 foot flat. For Philly, getting swept in the first round of the playoffs, could kind of use almost anything, but I'm thinking rangy defender. Obviously you have Embiid, and you need a guy who can just be rangy, play some great defense, and that's where Flory could be cool, but I think that just makes you so slow as a team. Even though Flory's not slow, it's just you can't pair those two. I don't hate the idea of them taking Sinak to try and develop trying to see if there's anyone down here who I would be like, yeah, that makes some sense. I mean, Rafael Castro, I'm pretty high on. Billy Richmond's awesome. But if you take Billy Richmond here, you might as well take Cameron Carr because he's a more, he's more polished offensively. I think you go Sinak here, give you some. He's got the mid-range chops. He might be able to turn himself into a great three-point shooter. Not great, but good, a serviceable three-point shooter. Also, just again gives you some athleticism at the 4 to help offset the athleticism that Embiid has lost. Back to Atlanta here at 23. This is interesting. Who do we give Atlanta again? Phylon. I think you could go pretty much anywhere here, right? I don't hate Amit here. I don't hate like Cameron Carr here. I don't think it's going to be Christian Anderson. This is tough. I like Malik Thomas a lot. He could be off-ball shooter. I think I'm going to talk myself here into Malik Thomas. Really great off-ball shooter. Really great off-ball defender as well. Plays the passing lanes really well. I hope y'all can still hear me from out here with my mic up here. I really like that pick there. Just, again, stacking talent, I think. There's some guys who are falling, like Amari Allen falling. I'm low on Koa Pete. I'm low on Nate Ahmed, so not too worried about them falling. Where are we at? The Knicks. The Knicks, I think I like Henry Vesar a lot here to pair with Cat. He spaces the floor well. He's a good passer. I mean, we saw him running pick and rolls as the ball handler with Caleb Wilson this year. He's that good of a passer. I hope y'all can't hear my stomach. Goodness gracious. The only thing I've had today is coffee. That's why that's happening. I also don't hate like Josh Jefferson, but I think that just gives you like a Cat variant 2.0 even. And Josh Jefferson's not as good of a shooter as Cat. I really like Vesar in the kind of post area or the pinch post area. Mike Brown loves him, a pinch post creator. He's also a good defender. Mitchell Robinson is in and out of the lineup so much. I really like Vesar there. And this would be a great Vesar spot as well to LA. But I think you just need physicality, you need rebounding. Taris Reed, probably the second best rebounder in the draft. A physical guy, can block some shots. Maybe doesn't move super well, but definitely just gives you another option outside of DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes, and I think he's a better rebounder. And we saw DeAndre Ayton in Game 3 of the Thunder series. It was piss poor effort at times. Taris Reed is not going to do that, coached by old Dan Hurley. Here we are, 26 to the Nuggets. The biggest thing with the Nuggets, they need athleticism. They need they need youth for sure in athleticism. I like Amari Allen here. I like Koa Pete here. Depending on what the plan is for Aaron Gordon, I even like Cameron Carr, who could be a backside shot blocker. Allen, to me, feels like kind of a second Peyton Watson almost. Their skill sets don't perfectly align, just kind of the athletic, wing type players. Cameron Carr really, really could be. I mean, he's a spectacular athlete. Not the greatest of defenders, but again, just a guy who can block shots from the backside. Depending on what I could see them trading Aaron Gordon, taking Koa Pete to kind of fill that role. Great mid-range touch, potential three-point touch, great athlete, can defend multiple positions. Oh man, who are we gonna take here? Carr, to me, I think Amari Allen it feels so right. It fits perfect, but so does Koa Pete. I think you take Koa Pete. Again, great athlete, switchable, has the mid-range potential. I think him and Jokic would really fit well together as well. So yeah, I don't hate that. Boston, I think you're just seeing Cameron Carr fall way too far here. I don't hate Amari Allen here either. I still just think you're seeing Cameron Carr fall way too far. And you're going to take, I think he's best player on the board by a good margin. Actually, I have Christian Anderson as best player on the board, but we're not going to talk about that. I like this as a Christian Anderson spot even. You don't know what's going to happen with Io. He'll be a free agent. Dante DiVincenzo obviously hurt. You don't really have a pure point guard. Christian Anderson is a pure point guard. Great scorer, great playmaker, plays every minute of every game as well, kind of like Sturtz. I just think this fits really well. He's listed 6'3". He does not look 6'3" on the court. I wouldn't be shocked if he was, because there were a lot of tall guards, like Kingston Flemings being 6'4". But even when he played Flemings, it wasn't like he was towering over him, or like, it felt like he was kind of small. But yeah, just a great ball handler guy who I think can play immediately. And you're getting him at 28. I think that's a great pick. This makes a lot of sense, Amari Allen. But I also think like Zuby Ejiofor, bringing in some physicality. He's 6'9" as well. Terrace Reed would fit really well here. Flory Badunga could fit here. Ruben Chinyelu could fit really, really well here. Great rebounder. He's probably going back to college. Same with Flory Badunga, so I don't really want to take them. Nate Ament, I think if he's here, you might just give him that pick. I think I'm going to go Amari Allen, though. He's a guy who has the potential to be a creator, great shooter, good slasher. Like, he does it all. It just feels like Cleveland's missing a long wing. Amari Allen's that. Last pick of the first round and of this mock draft, I think Nate Ament, you have time if you're the Mavs to develop a guy like this. And obviously, I think Ament's fallen even further than he should, for sure. He's a guy who put on some weight. The shot is probably worse, or probably looked worse in college than what it actually is. I'm trying to give him an in-defense things. Great free throw rate, drew some fouls, doesn't handle the ball particularly well. Again, doesn't shoot well. I'm very low on him defensively, even though he's a 6'10" forward who moves solidly. But I think you have time if you are the Mavericks. I hope this doesn't go away if I press close. Nope, we're good. I think you have time, though, if you're the Mavericks, to develop a guy like this. You don't have anywhere to be. So that is it for this mock draft, and there we go. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I love making mock draft videos. I'm going to make another one, no doubt, in my mind. Probably 4 more. Post-Combine will have one. Like, there's just so many reasons to make a mock draft. I love the draft. And I'll probably make a big board video before the draft comes, and then I'm going to live stream the draft. If you were there last year, I thank you, and I hope you come back again. Even with the technical difficulties last year, that was rough. But again, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.